Joshua Mason's life was a waking nightmare by the age of 5. Abused daily at the hands of his stepfather, he lived in constant fear. Then something changed it all. The birth of his half-brother, Lucas.
There was joy in the home. It was such an exciting time, and no one was getting physically abused. That was the moment that I actually saw what a family could be. It was about 2 months into after she had the baby, all of a sudden I heard her scream, "My baby's dead, my baby's dead."
Lucas had succumbed to sudden infant death syndrome. Broken-hearted, Joshua's mother sank into alcoholism, while the stepfather became ever more violent towards him. Fearing for his life, his mother gave him a choice.
And if you say yes, you can never come back. She pulled an airplane ticket out of her purse. "This is a flight to your real father's house." I said yes. I knew I had to get out of there. I was so sad that I was gonna leave my mother behind, but I had to go.
At 12 years old, he was taken to the airport and put on a flight to his biological father, who gave him a stable home for the next several years. After college, at 23, Joshua started dating a woman, and she became pregnant. He was overjoyed to finally have the happy family he'd longed for, but the death of his half-brother haunted him.
When she had my daughter, Lauren, it was such a beautiful moment. In my mind, I had to make it 3 months. Sudden infant death syndrome is the most common, or you have to worry about it in that first 90 days. Once you pass that point, then you're okay. I was very particular about every little thing that could cause Lauren harm. I did have that level of fear because I went through that traumatic experience.
Then one morning, just a few days to the 3-month mark, Joshua awoke to the voice of his partner's older daughter.
Mommy, you're laying on the baby." I ran over there to her and I snatched my daughter out from in between her and the recliner. And as soon as I held her and I looked down, I knew that she was dead. I felt so much anger to the woman I was with. I blamed God. "Why'd you take her from me?"
Joshua separated from his partner and spent the next several months struggling with severe depression. Eventually, he got a new job and began dating another woman, trying to start his life over. But this time, he was determined to not have children. Then one day, to his surprise, his girlfriend told him she was pregnant.
I was terrified. I talked to her about how important it is for me to make it to that 3-month mark. Lucas didn't make it to that 3-month mark. Lauren didn't make it to that 3-month mark. Very close. Just a gripping fear.
2 months and 27 days after his daughter Ariana was born, Joshua came home one evening to an empty house and a note.
And that note reads, "I'm sorry, it's too overwhelming for me. My mother and grandma really came to get a U-Haul and take me back to South Carolina." It's only 3 days to go at that point. Everything's gone and I've lost my family for the second time. That's when I decide, well, I'm just gonna self-destruct.
He began drinking heavily and taking prescription pills to numb his pain, but it wasn't enough. A friend from work was shooting meth, so Joshua gave it a try.
I became instantly addicted. I just don't care anymore about anything. That was an 8-year battle.
Lost in his addiction and hurt, Joshua did his best to shut out the world. But then he met a Christian woman named Isela, and the two became close. She would often pray for him and encourage him to come to church. Joshua hated God, but after experiencing an overdose that nearly killed him, he wanted to change.
She would always tell me from the beginning, you need God in your life. I started going to church. One night the pastor said something that really stuck out to me. The devil comes to kill, steal, and destroy. I had essentially blamed God for killing my daughter, stealing my family, and destroying my life. But I never knew that there was an enemy or the devil on the opposite end, and that was who the blame needed to be on and should have been on. One night, I came home from a service and I went into the bathroom like I normally do, and I got the little baggie of methamphetamines out, and I got the needle over here, and I'm looking at it, and I just thought, I have to stop. God, if you'll if you'll have me, I want to give my life over to you. Took that bag and I flushed it down the toilet. And I surrendered that night to Jesus. I felt joy again.
Following that night, through prayer and reading the Bible, Joshua found the strength in God to overcome his addiction. He also came to terms with his past, forgiving his abusive stepfather and those he'd blamed for destroying his families. He's now married to Isela and serves in ministry, helping to meet people's physical needs while pointing them to Jesus. Joshua says that God has blessed him with the family he'd always hoped for.
My family is my wife. It's the ministry that I'm in now, which God led me to. I have my family now, and I feel complete. No matter how dark times get, you can overcome whatever you're going through, and that you can do that by surrendering to Jesus. I went from the bottom, and now I'm at the top, and I did that through God.